What is up, YouTube? My name is Eben, and today is Throwback Thursday, and we're going to take a look at, instead of a Pokemon, we're going to take a look at a Stadium card. This one is Chaos Gym. This one's from a long way back. And there's a lot of text here, but basically what it boils down to is anytime either player, when this card is your Stadium card, anytime either player plays any trainer card that's not another Stadium, they have to flip a coin. If they get it wrong, then they get no effect from it. And if it's a card that wouldn't go into play, like basically if it's not a tool card, their opponent has a chance to use it instead. So it definitely earns its name, Chaos Gym. Now either way, whether they get it or not, or can get it or not, or choose to use it or whatever, it's still going to end up in your discard pile, so it gets burned up as if you'd played it anyway. It's chaotic because if you choose to take the risk of playing it, yeah, you might get it like normal, but you might also help your opponent, or if they don't want it, they don't have to use it, but still, kind of crazy, and this can really throw a lot of games for a loop. And it's a lot like just plain old blocking items for your opponents in a lot of cases, as they can lose critical cards they really need to play. And what's most important about this card is this card does not say items. It doesn't say, oh, items and tools, and that's it. It's just trainers. That means it blocks supporters too. And that's pretty gosh darn powerful. It means that your opponent's ability to get out of trouble by playing, say, a Sycamore or an N is completely blocked. So, we're going to run 4 of this because we want to keep this on the board as much as possible. Now, when trying to build around this card, I kind of thought to myself, okay, well, what can we do to capitalize on it, right? It's a control card. We're trying to mess our opponents up and slow them down. Well, in Standard, I can think of one card that does that very well as well, and that's Slowking. We're definitely going to control our opponent's trainers in this deck. That's kind of the theme. Slowking is going to get rid of their energy so that even if their trainers make it through, they may not really be able to do very much back to us because we'll be manipulating their energy for them. And if they choose not to play their trainers or whatever, dandy. This is still a tremendous amount of control, and it's going to give us an opportunity to attack with our attackers. So we're definitely running 3 of that guy, because that's really all you should need, but it's enough to get it reliably. We're going to run 3 Slowpokes, and his Tail Lure is definitely a nice attack if we need to use it. And we can attack with Slowking in this deck, and he could even be a productive attacker. His Psych Up could be pretty potent, hitting for potentially 80 a turn. And our attacker of choice in this nice, slow, and steady wins the race deck is going to be Palkia EX. Because he's really bulky at 180, and if our opponents are losing energies and they can't play their trainers, they're probably not putting out a lot of reliable damage, so Palkia is definitely going to be able to sit and stare at him for a long time. But instead of just powering up and then attacking, which is a little bland, we're going to attack and power up at the same time with Aqua Turbo. The idea is we're going to get our Palkias set up with all our energies from our deck, and we're going to start Pearl Hurricaneing. That'll basically 2-hit KO pretty much everything, and those 30 damages to the bench can easily be used to pick off support Pokemon or just set us up for more Pearl Hurricane knockouts that might just be one-hit knockouts in the future. And we do have a couple other things we can power up, of course, with Aqua Turbo. Sky's kind of the limit there, but this guy is our primary attacker because with the support of our opponents being so slowed down, he's just a brilliant card. He combos so well with it, and he doesn't need trainer support really to get going. Now, we are running 2 Manaphy EX because the ability to switch our Pokemon around and take advantage of those free retreats is definitely going to be appreciated. If our opponent does get something like a Lysander and Edgewise, we definitely want to be able to easily retreat out. And this way we can Aqua Turbo boost somebody, Aqua Turbo boost somebody again, and then we can just free retreat out to that Pokemon if we want, something like that. We really want that versatility. We don't want one of our Manaphys being prized to lock us out, so that's why we're running 2. We do have a backup attacker here, and that's Kyurem EX. His Glaciate attack is perfect for a slow-moving deck, and it spreads damage everywhere on our opponent's side of the field, meaning that even if they have somebody in the active slot like Carbink that could be problematic for us, it doesn't matter because we're going to hit everything on their board, and I guarantee you most of the targets, if not all of them, will be hit by it. Ice Caliber is not that attractive because it discards an energy, but what that can do is pick up knockouts on EXs for us. After a couple of Glaciates, pretty much everything's going to die to an Ice Caliber anyway, and it won't take many discards before you're winning the game anyway. And you can just Glaciate until things start dropping anyway. So definitely a powerful secondary attacker, loves Palkia EX hanging around. Our setup mons are going to be Hoopa EX because, well, obviously you can go pick up the Shaman I'm about to show you. You can get Manaphy, you can get your Palkia, lots of setup, and of course waters for fruit treats for him are always nice. And we're going to run kind of a standard 2 Shaman EX here because it's draw power that is not trainer based, which is always appreciated. It's Hoopa targetable, etc. Supporter-wise, we're running a little bit less than usual. We're going to opt for 3 Sycamores. We're going to go for 3 Ns. And the fun thing about N is if we play it under our Chaos Gym and we lose the flip, if our opponent chooses to use it, it's the same as if we had played it ourselves because the effect works, no matter who plays it, it's the same thing. And the worst that can happen is we just don't get it, in which case, well, our opponent at least didn't profit especially from it. So that's always nice, and it's just a good draw card anyway. And we're running 1 Skyla because this is a good card early. It can get us things like Ultra Ball that can get us into Hoopa and Shaman and so on. And in the mid to late game, it's always a good target in case our opponent, say, tries to play their Versus Seeker and Chaos Gym flips it back to us. This will always be a universally nice card to pick up, and it can pick up a lot of things like we're actually running Puzzle of Time, so we can get a second copy of that, etc. It's always going to be pretty useful for us in this deck. Our last supporter is 1 Lysander. Be careful how you play this, because this can backfire on us a little bit, but with our free retreats, it's not too bad, because even if our opponent gets this off our Chaos Gym, worst case scenario, it doesn't really matter because we can just free retreat on our next turn. And obviously it can end games and manipulate things pretty strongly. So we're going to opt for it. We're running 4 Ultra Balls for all that nice early game setup. We want to get the stuff we need, and it's to make sure we can get into our Hoopa, etc. We're running 4 Versus Seekers. Be careful how you play these cards. Obviously, time it correctly with your Chaos Stadium. But remember, people will be replacing your Stadium periodically with theirs most likely. So that's your opportunity to play those cards, if not early on. We're going to run 4 Trainer's Mail to help ensure that early game setup. We are, as I said, going to run 4 Puzzle of Time. And basically what this is for is so that when our opponents start replacing our Chaos Gems, we can easily get them back and make sure that we win the Stadium race and maintain control of the board. And this can, of course, get us access to a few other things too. And worst case scenario, it's a Pokedex effect, which isn't the worst thing in the world. It's not the worst, not the worst. We're going to run 3 Fighting Fury Belts, and if we lose the coin toss on these, who cares? Because ultimately, our opponents can't steal it because it stays in play, so it'll just fail, which isn't the end of the world. And we can play them out quickly and easily early game to give a little more longevity to some of our big basics, like Palkia and Kyurem, which is nice. We're going to run 1 Energy Recycler. Definitely don't take the chance on this one. Make sure you play it when you get a clean shot and your stadium isn't out. But Palkia definitely likes energy to be in our deck, and if Palkia goes down, it's probably going to take a lot of energy with it. So this is a great way to restore it to our deck. 5 energy is a lot better than what we would get off a Super Rod. But that said, we are running 1 Super Rod as well, so that we can do things like cycle Slowking back if necessary. And finally, we are going to run a nice, handsome little pile of 12 Water Energies, just to make sure we can draw them and get them going. And remember, Palkia is going to be pulling these out of our deck. So just 12. 12 is good. It may seem like a lot in some ways, but it's pretty adequate. It's a pretty solid number for this deck. And that is all she wrote. Give it a try. Play your friends. It is a lot of fun. Chaos Stadium is it's just a really cool card. Chaos Gym, I mean, if you never got to play with it in the old days, now's your chance. Pick them up online. They're ridiculously cheap. Somebody's got the old cards. Hey, you might be able to get them from them. Have some fun. Play casually. The format is ending unless you're going to Worlds, and if you're going to Worlds, have fun. But otherwise, until next time, I'm going to get out of here. Like, comment, subscribe. Check me out on Twitter. Link is below, and I will see you next time.